football's a massive game of opinions, and I always say that you do need a little bit of luck on your side when you kind of going through that full process. And it was kind of up until the point where obviously I'd kind of left Hartlepool at the end of my professional contract. It was kind of like I never really had, not rejection, but I never really had a failure yet.
How did you actually manage to become a professional footballer? Like, so as in, take us through the steps from where it all began to signing your first pro contract. What was
Yeah,
the steps there?
very long process, but
Well,
yeah, it was kind of just, I think I started when I was 9 year old in the wasn't the academy, it was the development centre for Hartlepool, and it was kind of just obviously year by year you have what these things called appraisals, and every year you would kind of get told whether you would obviously be kept on and stuff, and it was obviously just it. I had an older brother at the time. I have an older brother, and he was a footballer as well, and he was a professional. He wasn't professional as long as me, but it was kind of I always looked up to what he kind of done as well.
Yeah.
But so I started off at 9, and obviously going up the ranks, under 11s and 12s, and the 13s and the 15s and 16s, and then it goes to youth team. And it was obviously at that point of 14, I kind of got my youth team contract as well. But it was kind of, I kind of went all that way from being such a young age and like learning so much. I think being in the same club helped. I know a lot of people probably bounce from different places, trying to find the right club for them and stuff. Maybe they've been released and then they went and had a trial elsewhere. But it was kind of fed into me, obviously, from such a young age. It all started from when I was a toddler, I remember some of the very early photos of when I was born, of me in a football kit. I think it was just like bred in me that I was going to be a footballer. And my brother obviously was the same. And it was kind of growing up watching him, and I was kind of like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to do what he's doing. It was amazing. I'd go to training every Tuesday, Thursday normally.
Yeah.
And that was always great. It was nice to see friends as well that were obviously in different schools from different areas, people from Newcastle, Middlesbrough, all over the place. And obviously you go up and certain people get let go, that, obviously weren't deemed good enough. Were they good enough? They might have been in other people's eyes, football is a massive game of opinions, and I always say that you do need a little bit of luck on your side when you kind of going through that full process. And it was kind of up until the point where obviously I'd kind of left Hartlepool at the end of my professional contract. It was kind of like I never really had, not rejection, but I never really had a failure yet. Every year, like obviously I surpassed everyone and got another year extension, and it was kind of obviously the same thing until I was obviously 14 and I got my youth contract. And then obviously from the youth team, because a lot of the same stuff was kind of from the age of 9 to under 16. You'd have your appraisal, you'd obviously train throughout the year. You wouldn't have a league. It would normally just be games on a Saturday or a Sunday. You'd play in them games, and it was kind of obviously based on just pure performance. And obviously you would then get to youth team, and then youth team was just a total different kettle of fish. It was just kind of, you were thrown in, you'd be in every day, because at the time Hartlepool were in the leagues, which was a really, really high level. I think when I started in the youth team, we were in the 4th tier of English. No, is it?
That's the conference.
That's not right. No, so it's a League 2. So what is that? Because do the class?
No, it is League 2. Yeah.
So is that classed as Tier 4? It is, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So League 2, but I can't remember what it was called at the time.
I think it's the EFL. I think it's EFL
Still the
now.
EFL.
But yeah, so at the time, Hartlepool were in League Two, and it was kind of, a big step up for me. And obviously, my main aim was obviously just get into the first team. Not get into the first team. It was kind of like little steps. We obviously set goals, and you would speak with the youth team manager, and you'd be like, "What goals do you have for this season?" My goals would probably be trim with the first team, that sort of thing, to try and kind of ease yourself into the first year of the season, and kind of get your feet under you. And that was kind of the process for that. You would obviously have your year. You do pre-season, so you would go away for pre-season normally. I think the first year we went to like a camping area, and it was kind of all team bonding, that sort of thing, building skills with each other and stuff, communication, that sort of thing. And then you'd obviously have your really hard running training, and a lot of the training we did was so tough. It was just so physically demanding. Like,
imagine, man.
The amount of times, like, I've obviously pushed myself to the max, and after the session I've been sick, or threw up, or one of the things that I will always hate in my life is running. It's just not
that's
fun.
ironic, isn't it, being a footballer?
Yeah, it's just like, football running is completely different to being forced to go and do a run on a running track.
Well, it is a bit different, isn't it? I mean, it's very intense football. I mean, especially if you play 5-a-side or something like that, or even on, it's not as intense as an 11-a-side pitch. But if you're just consistently running or doing sprints, then that's a lot worse than stopping and starting and passing the ball and moving about.
Yeah.
So I do understand what you're saying. It's just just found it funny.
It's just I think I've got a lot of I think I am cursed from it, because I know I have to do a lot of running now to keep kind of myself fit. And it's always the last thing that I want to do. I would much rather obviously go to the gym, but obviously we can't do that at the minute.
Yeah. And
it's just kind of halted me a bit, because it's like I just don't want to go and just start running, and I just feel like it's not pointless, but it's one of them things where it's especially with football, I always feel like football fitness is completely different to just running on a track. You could do as much running as you wanted, pre-season, whatever. As soon as you step on that pitch and you do a full game, a full 90 minutes, your body reacts different, and no matter how much you've done, that level of match fitness, what we call it, is kind of, you never have that until you start playing games. And I remember one season we kind of, I think it was the first season that I was a youth team scholar. It was kind of, we're on a running track, because we used to train at Durham University. I don't know if the first team still train there. I think it's changed now.
Yeah, I drive past there pretty much. Like,
yeah.
Work, so.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much where we used to train. I think they had a partnership with the university there, and they had a running track, and obviously that was the worst thing for us. And I remember pretty much the first couple of sessions of pre-season, that was kind of our home. We would never go away from it. We didn't have the balls out, and I expect that, and I expect that normally from a pre-season anyway. But it was kind of, I remember the session, like, exactly. It was 1,500 meters, 800 meters, 400 meters, all in one. So you would be in two groups. So one group would go, you'd do your 4 laps, because that was 1,500 meters, and then the other team would go do their 1,500, and then while they're doing that, you would have your rest. Then you would have your 800 meters, and then you would do that run. They would be resting, then they would do it, and vice versa. And then you'd go all the way down, and then you'd go all the way back up. So like,
it's just to push you a bit more.
Yeah, the basically, I remember my coach at the time, he called it the pyramid, and it was just horrendous. That's one of the more painful ones that I kind of remember. And just that at the end, when you're kind of thinking, and bearing in mind this, the rest that you have isn't a rest. You know, it feels like it goes in like seconds.
Yeah.
And I only had 4 years in like professional, like obviously full time football. So I can't imagine the stories that other people like full time who've gone like their full career for 15 years or however long people play for, what stories they could kind of tell, because them sticks like vividly, like them stick really, really like true to me because of the pain I kind of went through when I was doing them. So, but yeah.